All right, everybody, welcome. Welcome, everybody, to Into the Storm with Ken Navitsky. I told you I was going to get a little more regular with these videos. We got 101 subscribers, guys. It's amazing. We're up to 101 subscribers. This is kind of a takeoff of my campaign YouTube channel, Into the Storm with Ken Navitsky, here at the Excellence in Podcasting Network. We talk about politics. We talk about life. We talk about sports. We talk about culture. We talk about everything here because that's what it's all about. And we're well-rounded people, and we kind of want to know what's going on. Now, folks who know me know that I've not only been in politics and been in sports and all that other stuff. You also know that I've been in the motorsports entertainment industry. And, the Monster Jam World Finals just got done out in Salt Lake City, Utah. And I thought today would be a great moment for me to give my 2 cents on where monster trucks and the monster truck industry is today, as opposed to where it was 15, 20 years ago when I first got involved with it. Because there has absolutely been an evolution in the monster truck industry, and some people might think that it's great, and that's okay. I mean, we're all entitled to an opinion, and some people might think that it's not so great. And I'm going to give you my take on what's going on in monster trucks in the industry, and somebody that's been a part of it for 20 plus years. Do I like it? Don't I like it? What do I think about monster trucks today, right here, right now? Once again, Ken Navitsky, Into the Storm. Welcome everybody to the big show. I got into monster trucks about 20 years ago. My brother-in-law got me tickets and the family tickets to go see Advance Auto Parts Monster Jam at the Metronome. And I can tell you what, the drivers were amazing. I didn't really have any desire to go to this event, to be honest. I did not have any desire to be a part of this rally of monster big trucks. I was like, I just don't get it. But I'll tell you, I went to the free pit party. Free. Had a chance to meet Tom Meents and Dennis Anderson and Craig Christensen and Jimmy Cretin and Don Cretin. I had a chance to meet all the drivers. Amazing. Candace Jolly. It just on and on and on. George Balhan. I can go down the list of classic drivers that were amazing and just tell you every single one of them. It didn't matter who they were. They were absolutely top notch. They were the best of the best. They were incredibly humble. They were somebody that absolutely you could associate with and see hanging out with over a beer or over a pizza. Medusa, amazing person. It just never ceases to amaze me, the number of amazing folks that you have the opportunity to meet and then be pleasantly surprised that they're just like us, man. They really are. They're not millionaires. They weren't barricaded off by plexiglass. They were real people, very thankful to be where they were, signing autographs, taking pictures. And keep in mind, this was happening for 3 hours before a 2.5 hour show where they're going to get the living hell beat out of them. But what has happened to the sport over the last 20 years is pretty amazing, because the World Finals used to be at Las Vegas. All roads led to the Monster Jam World Finals at Sam Boyd Stadium in Las Vegas. Sam Boyd Stadium is no longer. It's there, but it's a shell, and Monster Jam had no choice. They had to make plans to go do other things, which was unfortunate because that was a perfect size venue. Packed it both Friday and Saturday nights, or Saturday and Sunday, whatever we had to do, we got it done. And there were very few empty seats. Very cool destination for all of the great Monster Jam fans, of who I am very good friends with to this day. What an amazing experience the fans are. Being a part of, I think, 8 or 9 Monster Jam World Finals, I can tell you it was a very big deal. And when I first started in 2011, 2012, we had Scott Douglas and Mark Schrader. Okay, Mark Schrader of Devastator was the color commentary man for Scott Douglas. And between the two of those two, you had the most epic voice in motorsports. If you don't know a whole lot about Scott Douglas, His voice sets the tempo for an amazing, amazing night and or visual experience on television. Electric, down to the core. There is no better voice in motorsports, in my opinion, than Scott Douglas. So Mark Schrader came in with the color commentary. He's driven. He knows what's going on. Man, they were like yin and yang. They were perfect together, electric. They had the synergy that you're looking for, and it gave credibility to a mainstream motorsports production on Speed TV. And then the early days of FS1 on Fox Sports, very credible, big time, NASCAR style, mainstream. Now, if you know anything about me, I like mainstream stuff. I'm much more of a college game day guy, sports center guy. I like the nuts and bolts of things. I like the realism of things. I like mainstream events, whether it's college football, pro soccer, baseball, monster trucks, motorsports, NASCAR. I appreciate the realism, and I appreciate very much how that gets put together, that thing. I have no desire for goofy hats, costumes that have lights all over them. I don't mind a little bit of fog. I'm not going to lie. I like a little bit of smoke. I like smoke and lights. I think that's great. But during the intros, that's what when you're coming out of the tunnel, that's when I like it. Once the actual event's going on, man, I want mainstream. I'm not looking for a clown show or a circus. Now, here's the thing. My opinion is my opinion, and I've met a lot of monster truck fans that are out there that I'm sure have my opinion and a lot that don't, and that's okay. This is just my take on what's going on in the industry. You might totally disagree with me, and that's okay. That's absolutely okay. I was on one of my friends' pages on Facebook, and they were talking about how it's not motorsports entertainment enough, and they need more goofy accessorial things as opposed to just racing and freestyle. And that's a take. I get it, man. I understand that. But what I will say is when I started in 2012, very rarely was there an empty seat in any arena or stadium I was a host at. Very rarely. The thought was, we're going to get you with the goodies, meaning your tickets weren't that expensive. You could get a family of 4 into Monster Jam. I think tickets if you're up in the upper levels, $20 a piece. But if you wanted hot dogs and cotton candy and T-shirts and toys, well, that's where you would really jack up the price. But the philosophy for most of us was, let's get as many people in the stadium as we possibly can. Let's be affordable. Let's be something that is good, wholesome time for the family. Mainstream motorsports. You'll notice that the trucks were trucks back then. 2012, you had Chevys, Dodges, Hummers, Toyotas, Chevy panel trucks, chop top Mercs, 57 Chevys. You had El Toro Loco. That was the odd truck out. That was your concept truck, if you will. But the vast majority of people in the stands, whether you were 50 or 5, you had monster trucks out there that you could love. You had Scarlet Bandit for the girls, Medusa for the girls. Becky McDonough drove El Toro Loco, another awesome person, another great driver. But the vast majority, along with Mark Schrader and Scott Douglas, it was a mainstream motorsports production brought to you by Advance Auto Parts, and the footage was amazing. And when you were there, you could tell it was mainstream motorsports. There were trucks out there. There were great drivers. The fire suits were on point. The track was built for racing and freestyle. You could have an amazing night out. It didn't break your bank. You didn't have to pay to get into the pit party to meet all the drivers. So if you were a family of 3 to 5, 6 people, pay for parking, pay for your tickets. If you didn't buy a whole lot of stuff there, you could get out of there, and it was a very good value for the money. And it was a big-time production brought to you guys by Monster Jam, or, we literally took it serious. Now, you get down the road a few years, it's nowhere near what it once was. And that's okay. I mean, listen, they decided they were going to go for the young kids demographic, 100% all in. That was their take. I always thought, listen, if you get a mom, a dad, and some kids in there, and the girls are there and they see Medusa or they see Scarlet Bandit, and, I thought that the 2005 Ford Expedition with Don Cretan behind the wheel, and the pink and black color scheme was just as exciting as a unicorn. And the kids would love that because they'd meet Dawn and see that she's an amazing woman and she's a very good driver and her truck is awesome and it's an actual truck. It's not a character on a chassis. It's a truck. It's a truck body on a chassis, but it's something you see every day. They would love that just as much as they would love a unicorn. Now, the difference is the moms, the 30, 40-year-old moms would also think that that was a cool truck and they would buy a t-shirt too. Probably not going to get a whole lot of 40 or 50-year-old moms wearing a unicorn shirt. You might, but I just don't think that they would. I know for a fact I wouldn't buy a truck shirt or a character shirt with a gigantic fish on it. I wouldn't do that personally. But I'll buy panel truck shirts all day, Ford, Chevy, Blue Thunder. I would buy those things because it's something that I associate with. But if you're just going after the 5 to 7-year-old, they would love Bigfoot as a monster truck or a Gravedigger as a monster truck just as much as they would love a gigantic fish or a unicorn or these trucks. I don't even know, man. Wherever you want to go with it. The gigantic, what's the new one? Party deck wreck. Yeah. So that was always my thought. So as I got through 2015, 2016, they closed up Aurora. Everybody moved down to Ellington to be a part of the Feld Motorsports family down there in Florida, which is right by my home where I grew up. Every new truck that started coming out was more ridiculous than the last truck. And they were no longer trucks, they were characters. And that was part of the Barnum and Bailey, Ringling Brothers circus no longer being around. And they brought all of those factions into the motorsports aspect of it. And all of a sudden, monster truck mainstream became monster truck entertainment and motorsports entertainment. And ever since then, the trucks have gotten, in my personal opinion, more and more ridiculous, more and more eye-rolly. And it's just to a point now to where it's a shell of what it once was. Now, is my way or their way better? They're all doing fantastic. Every motorsports entity in monster trucks now is in the entertainment realm. Monster Jam is motorsports entertainment. Hot Wheels is monster truck entertainment. I mean, they've all got animals and critters and machines, and they're not trucks anymore. And they all seem to be doing okay. There's no two ways about it. I know that Hot Wheels is doing great, and Monster Jam is doing, I would say, okay. It's not like it used to be. I guarantee you their money might still be very similar because they charge so much more for everything, but the stadiums are no longer packed. The arenas are no longer packed, and the production is nowhere near what it was with Scott Douglas and Mark Schrader and the credibility and all that other thing. And that's not saying anything bad about the people that are there now. Everyone's doing what they're told to do. They're doing what they're paid to do. In many instances, these are actors and actresses. They're no longer nuts and bolts motorsports people that understand what's actually happening with a monster truck while it's working. The history of monster trucks and how Dennis Anderson is the godfather of all monster trucks, or they don't understand, Tom Menson, where he came from in the mud truck industry. They don't know about any of that stuff. They don't care about it. They got a 15-page script. They're going to do their script. They're going to get you in. They're going to get you out, and you're going to go home, and it's entertainment. And that's where it is today. I don't personally like that. I don't like my hosts wearing light-up costumes with Christmas lights all around them and goofy hats, but that's me. That's me. That's just what I'm saying. I understand that there's a lot of kids out there that really love these trucks, and that's fine. And I was, 2010, 2012, when I was just getting started out, they loved those trucks as well. They really, truly did. The difference in my estimation was the moms and dads also could associate with those trucks. So instead of buying one or two t-shirts for a kid, you'd get a dad to get a Blue Ford, a Blue Thunder t-shirt or a Gravedigger t-shirt. The kids would get, maybe an El Toro Loco t-shirt or a Scarlet Bandit t-shirt. The moms might get a Medusa t-shirt because they were all something that was not totally and completely out of this world, ridiculous and goofy. It was something that you could touch base with. But I'm just me. I'm nobody. I don't know everything. These are my opinions. And I guess the marketing gurus think that there's just a lot more to be had with trucks with gigantic appendages sticking out of the hoods and horns and gills and good Lord, God, I don't know, man. I don't know. All I know is I saw the World Finals from Salt Lake. My goodness, there were an awful lot of empty seats. And most of the trucks that were out there were unrecognizable because they're not trucks. They're characters on beautiful chassis. And I guess this is where the whole industry is now. I guess this is just the way it goes. And, I'm 54. I'm not as good looking as I once was. I don't have all of the assets that I had when I was 34 or 44. But I love doing 2X Monster Trucks live shows with Jimmy and Don. They're fun. Of course, they're much smaller. But the one thing that I would love to see happen, and whether I was a part of it or not is totally irrelevant, is I would really love to see somebody that had the opportunity to deal with somebody that has a great deal of money and really wanted to try to take this motorsports entity of monster trucks, which technologically and is so far advanced now than it was 20 years ago. It's amazing. These trucks can do amazing things. But boy, it would just really be neat if we could get back to mainstream motorsports, more of a NASCAR type of production, and get back to, racing and freestyle and getting rid of all of the other high jumps, long jumps, sideways jumps, tricks. I mean, we've got so much of that now. Every monster truck show that you go to is that, and it's all over. And I would just really love to see a Monster Energy or an AMSOIL or a Lucas Oil or somebody get together with somebody that has a background in this industry, a background in management, a background in business, to put together a real mainstream motorsports entity, because that is sorely missing right now in the monster truck field, in my opinion. If you're a Chevy or a Ford dealer or a Ram dealer, I mean, is there really anything out there on a Monster Jam track that even remotely makes you want to go, hey, let's get behind this and create a Blue Thunder built Ford Tough, or the Heartbeat of America Chevy truck, a USA 1, or I don't think that's the case. It's all character driven now. It's all unicorns, fish, and any other thing, school buses, and just, which is fine. And that's what you got now. That's what you have. But there is no more mainstream motorsports in monster trucks. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there never really was. But I know when I went to the Metrodome on that beautiful winter night in 2005 or 6 or whenever the hell it was, there were Fords, Chevys, Dodges. The only truck I can remember being a character was El Toro Loco. Yeah, Monster Mutt, but Monster Mutt was a chop top Merc. I think 55 chop top Merc. Of course, Jim was out there with Avenger, the 57 Chevy. That was it. There was one concept truck out there, and the Metrodome was jam-packed. You could not move. The pit party was jam-packed. There was an electricity and an energy there brought to you by Scott Douglas and Mark Schrader that was second to none. The pit reporters knew everything about the trucks that they should know about the trucks. The production was top-notch. It was mainstream motorsports. It was sidelines reporting, pit reporting, color commentary. It was exciting. It was electric, and it was something that got at the time, 35-year-old guy that had no desire to be there into it, to a point to where I became very good friends with Craig Christensen and Michael Christensen, and basically set a course to leave the pharmaceutical sales industry to become a part of that motorsports industry. And I was blessed. I became the 2012 Monster Jam Rookie of the Year, the 2013 Rising Star. I worked every single year at the Monster Jam World Finals with amazing talent like Greg Whitaker on the main stage. I had a chance to work with true professionals, whether they were camera guys or pit reporters or frontmen. It was a truly amazing time, and I'm incredibly thankful for it. Seeing where it is today, I would be lying if I didn't say I was disappointed. I remember when Freddie and I were talking about going to Hot Wheels Monster Trucks Live, we really truly wanted it to be a mainstream motorsports thing. We did. Maybe more so me than Freddie. Freddie was just kind of like, whatever, man. He's just a fun time. And I was like, this is a chance to really take an industry and set it up for success. And I envisioned 4 or 5 or 6 years down the road being in big stadiums with credible trucks that they could then sell as toys and create an entire mainstream. But they went into a whole nother direction. And I'm not a part of it. So good for them. I hope that they're having great success, which in all honesty, I think they are. They're doing great. But once again, it's just another entity that is in the entertainment realm as opposed to the mainstream realm. So, I'm not in the industry like I once was. I still have many, many, many friends in the industry that I care a great deal about. That would really be cool to see somebody come along and give the effort, have the money behind them, and have the opportunities to create a mainstream motorsports monster truck series that could get serious sponsors, help push motor oils, fuels, car manufacturers, you name it, and give that credibility back, because I don't like the circus aspect of monster trucks any longer. I think it's become really, really unrecognizable with Monster Jam. It's just nowhere near what it once was. And, the numbers in the stadiums and in the arenas, they're not what they were. So am I right? Am I wrong? I don't know. I honestly don't know, but that's my opinion. Listen, I want to thank everybody for coming out and being a part of Into the Storm with Ken Navitsky. We're not going to talk about monster trucks all the time, but we will on occasion get into it because there's so many people that are part of my life, my stratosphere, my circle that I love and care a great deal about, and being in touch with them and still being so close to those folks in the industry and seeing what's going on. I absolutely have an opinion. Now, I don't ever say that my opinion's right or the only opinion. I get it. I'm going to probably get some pushback on this from people saying, hey, man, it's never been better. And you know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. But I still think that when I hear the surly tones of Scott Douglas saying, this is Monster Jam, welcome to Monster Jam, with Mark Schrader chiming in with his amazing color commentary, and the production is on point, and the trucks are trucks, and the drivers are strapped into something that is real, and it's not entertainment so much as it is mainstream. It brings an entirely different game, an entirely different feel, an entirely different genre. And I miss that. I would love to say that somebody sometime, some way will be able to bring it back. But if they ever do, it's going to take a lot of money. It's going to take smart people doing it. It's going to take disciplined people doing it. And it's going to take somebody to come along and have the desire to actually put it back to where I believe it needs to be, and that's in mainstream motorsports. Now, love you guys. Please like, subscribe, and share. Into the Storm with Ken Navitsky. We're going to come back probably this week and talk a little bit about the list. The list. And why it's not being released, in my opinion. What's on that list? And Kelly and I also had a chance to go out west. And Denver. What's going on out there, man? A little bit dirty. A little bit different than the last time I was there 10 years ago. But that just seems to be the way things go. I mean, New York, a lot dirtier, a lot different than it was 10 years ago. Denver, shockingly, kind of third worldish on the highways with the trash and garbage driving through there. It was the Mile High City, they need to put down the blunts and start picking up the brooms and start sweeping. It's pretty rough out there, but I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. Thank you for being a part of Into the Storm here on the Excellence in Podcasting Network. My name is Ken Navitsky, and we will see you guys again really soon with a little take on the list. Love you guys. See you soon.